Community Chronicles Radio, brought to you weekly by the Corey Higher Education Council, promoting lifelong learning to empower individuals, produce a competitive workforce, and enhance the community's quality of life. Through this mission, which serves as our constant reminder, the Corey Higher Education Council wants to highlight the Erie area's entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurial ecosystem drivers. Welcome to Community Chronicles Radio. If you have a question for us today or any of our guests, give us a call, 814-679-1080. I am Dr. Matthew Plotz, and with me today, as always, is our incredible co-host, Steph Screws. Good morning, Steph.
Good morning, Matt. How's it going?
Going well. So what show are we at? Show 10. This is show 10, and
Wow.
I feel like this is the first time in 10 weeks that I've driven to the studio and it's not dreary and cold and raining. So
I know.
It finally happened.
I know. It's nice here too in Corey. The sun's out and it looks nice.
It's been a beautiful week for the most part. A couple thunderstorms, but you get that with warmer temperatures. So
yeah. Yep, we're heading towards summer.
So speaking of this week, we did it. We've made it all the way through Rural Entrepreneur Week, which has been quite the climb. We didn't know what was going to happen since it's the first year that we've done it, but we've made it. We got through it. What I would like you to do, Steph, is just kind of tell us what happened this week and how everything went. What happened for all of the entrepreneurs that were down in Corey thinking about starting or expanding their business?
Yeah, we had lots of great stuff. Like I said, our kickoff was Monday, and that happened at Before the Barrel Distillery, and we had a great turnout for that, and that was with your daily serving, and they got a lot of interaction between people and a lot of good talks, and people were able to enjoy drinks and enjoy, talking with Betsy Grinder and having food that she supplied, and then we headed on to Tuesday, and that was a motivational way to start your own business. And we had Greg Russian speak, and we had a good turnout for that as well. And Twisted Sisters came and provided the food that day at the Corey High Ed. And unfortunately, we had a little snafu on Wednesday. We weren't able to. Our speaker wasn't able to make it in, but we headed on and made it through that. Headed on to Thursday, so. We had a great turnout as well for Thursday with Betsy Grinder again. That one was called Food for Thought, and she came with had a lot of good talks about her humble beginnings and navigating the COVID lockdown and how she came to expand her business. And she also provided the food that day. So yeah, we've had a lot of great things happen this week. So.
Yeah, all of the speakers and our staff and everybody involved with the project, it really went according to plan, which is really great. It's our first one. I kind of, I stole this from Kathy Roach at Gannon, the idea of putting a week like this together. And we weren't sure how it was going to go, if it was going to be received in Corey, but it went fairly well, so I was happy about that. So after this show, we have one more day of Rural Entrepreneur Week festivities. This is the day that any of the entrepreneurs or people thinking about becoming one can make a lasting connection with the folks in the ecosystem that make it all go. Tell us about the fifth and final day of Rural Entrepreneur Week.
Yes, today is the finale. It's called The Road to Startup Success. It'll be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and you'll be able to meet and talk to members of the entrepreneurial ecosystem that can help you on your journey. So make sure, if you haven't registered, I think they're still taking registrations. The lunch will be provided today by Sanders Market. And once again, this is held at the Relevant Church, 100 South Center Street in Corey, PA. This is to wrap it all up for our Rural Entrepreneur Week. So exciting stuff.
Yeah.
It's free.
Kathy always reminds me to make sure I tell everybody that all of this is free. So you can come get lunch.
Yes.
And maybe expand your business or get started, meet the people that can help you with that. So this week has been amazing, but like you mentioned earlier, not without difficulties. One of the Entrepreneur Week speakers had to cancel. These things happen when you're doing events like that. The radio guest that we originally lined up for this week also canceled. So it's been a week, and I try to stress it when we're at work. You just adjust, you overcome, we figure out how to make it go. But I believe that today's show will be a special show that highlights the city of Erie and the entrepreneurial ecosystem in a great way. And this story is going to be great to tell other people that Erie has some things going on. So please welcome our special guests, Margaret Brabham and Yasmin Hassan. These ladies will soon be a household name if they're in Erie. If they're not already, you're out there, you're getting the things done. And they are best known as the Spice Sisters. Welcome both.
Well,
Thank you.
Yes, welcome, Margaret and Yasmin. Can you tell us what brings you to Erie and give us a little bit of the background about your business, the Spice Sisters?
Well, the Spice Sisters started, Margaret and I were working together at a nonprofit, and then we decided to go out on our own. And we both love food, and we both love cooking together, and we saw a need for, different flavors. I come from an Indian background that has lots of knowledge in spices, and we're fair trade. That was important to us, and, no fillers and low salt. And we wanted to make a healthy product.
Absolutely.
One of our main goals is to help the home cook who has just got such a task in front of them. So with our products, they're able to produce healthy, interesting meals over and over again, because that's the challenge, the over and over again. And, we found our way to Erie. We had been looking, we'd been in business for a while. We wanted to scale up, and we thought a Kickstarter campaign would be a good way to do that, get our name out and raise the funds for, more, technical equipment. And so we looked for anybody who could help us with that. And at some point, I was able to connect with Karen from...
Yes.
Pineapple Eddie's.
Right.
And she directed us to Kathy and the Gannon branch of the Beehive, and that's when the magic began. So
Awesome. So what attracted you to the city of Erie? Was it the Gannon Beehive, or was it other things as well? Or
Well, once we started working with Kathy, we just realized that, what's very, very impressive about Erie is that all of the different agencies and programs to work with small business work cooperatively. And that is very, very impressive. And then, once you visit, of course, it's beautiful. The food scene here is vibrant. The emphasis on food manufacturing is evident, and we would just love to be a part of working with other people who are working to make Erie a destination, known for something like that.
Yeah, one of the great things that I see, and we've had guests in here talking specifically about that, especially like in the brewery space. They have people that they would, ordinarily consider competitors. And you think, okay, there's another brewery just down the street. But in times of need, the people that work there step up and help each other. So if something goes crazy at Erie Ale Works, he can call Chris Sirianni or Jason Lavery and say, hey, do you have any of this? And they are right there to help them do it. So I appreciate that. And we talk a lot about that in this program with the different businesses that we have in. So it's good to hear, that.
Yeah, and there's that synergy.
Absolutely.
People will, come to visit a town because there's 5 great restaurants, whereas making the trip just for one. But we just are excited to be a part of that.
Exactly. Can you talk a little bit about your experience working alongside the Gannon Beehive so far?
It's been much better than we had ever thought it would be or anticipated. I mean, a couple of calls that Margaret did made it like, so we have very positive hopes for our growth and growing with Erie, because Erie's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, and the Beehive has such a depth of services. It's, each of the different partners there is focused on one aspect, we need help in all those aspects. And so, it would have been enough to just come for the Kickstarter. That would have been great, but I don't think we would have thought about relocating just based on that. It's just, there's so many other options, and there's, it's affordable when it comes to finding space. It's, and your quality of life here is just wonderful. The lake is beautiful. The air is wonderful. So but working with the Beehive, it really, we just keep finding out, oh yes, we have somebody who helps with that. Oh yes, we can get, and Kathy is about the most can-do gal on the planet. So it's been just a wonderful experience. We look forward to meeting more of the branches today over in Corey.
I think what
Absolutely.
the Beehive is helping us with a lot, because Margaret and I and her husband's helped a lot too. We just kind of started, and when you start out, you're kind of just putting out fires and trying to keep going. I think the Beehive is going to make us more organized and disciplined and be able to grow in a healthy way. So that's very exciting.
So you mentioned the other parts of the Beehive, not just Gannon's piece of that puzzle. Have you had the opportunity to work with any of the others, or is that where you've been so
we
far?
have met with Christopher at Penn West Edinburgh. And so we will, Kathy has explained to us that it's better to start with one aspect and then move around,
Right.
in a procedural way. So we have met with him, but we're going to do a bit at a time.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. One of the things that Chris helps with out at Edinburgh, and it seems like you have a pretty good handle on it, because I just Googled Spice Sisters. I didn't type in any area. I just typed that in, okay? And when that happened, in Google, of course, Spice Sisters, that's it. Hit the enter button. You are at the top of the list. So your search engine optimization is actually, it's working.
It's coming along.
And actually, you are the first two choices. There's two different portions of it, and it looks like you have them both. So that's working. It's working.
That's good to hear.
We had such a time trying to come up with a name, and there are many, many people who use the name Spice Sisters, all the way from 7-year-olds dancing to 80-year-old people. There's a couple of 80-year-old women in London, and so we figured we're able to differentiate because we're doing the spices and the sauces. And but we are really looking forward to taking our social media and marketing to a new level, and that's with the help that Gannon can give us, and the students. The programs using the students are very exciting. So.
Yeah, that's some of Erie's best and brightest working on these products.
Right.
And the great thing about the Gannon Beehive and the Beehive in general is that students kind of get exposed to everything and a different way of thinking. And it certainly helps them as they proceed into their lives, whether they want to be entrepreneurs or not. The way, especially at Gannon, they use an applied intelligence method for a lot of what they're doing. And it just changes the way that they think and how they approach things from a critical perspective. So it is kind of nice to work with them and be involved with them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a hands-on, and not so much in the classroom, which is very important for youngsters.
Exactly. So if somebody was looking, well, at least we know that we could find you on Google now, because Matt was looking. So, where could people find you, find what you've been working on? Do you have a certain page to go to, or other information that you could give our audience about how to find you?
So we are doing an event at Erie Aleworks on June 22nd. It's called Wings Over Erie, and I'll let Margaret talk a little bit more about that.
Well, we have the event coming up because we're always looking to collaborate with other small businesses, and we're always looking for a way to show people and give them a taste. But if you're looking for our products, I would say you just go online to the website, and that will take you to our shop. And
Also, we're at the co-op, Erie
right,
Co-op.
and then if
Oh.
you want to go in person, we're at the Erie Food Co-op right now. They are our dear friends, and they're carrying every one of our products. So there's a little shelf with a picture of Yasmin and I staring down and smiling at you.
Is this the photograph on the website?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
And then we are also, we're looking around. We'd like to be in, more gourmet, more healthy food shops in town. And so hopefully we'll be a little more spread out as time goes by. But for right now, that's the way to find our stuff. And if you want to taste our stuff, come on down to the Wings Over Erie.
Wings over here. Yes, with Jeff McCullough, you have found someone that is willing to collaborate. That he's just a
He's
great
excited about collaborating.
Yes,
that was
yeah.
another very attractive experience. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
guy. He's one of the nicest guys out there. I telling the story. His daughter used to be in Girl Scouts with mine, so I met him outside of that place. But yeah, he's just a great guy to work with, and brings that collaborative nature of Erie along with it.
Well, we were fortunate enough to get on Foodie Friday with Mark. I just know them as Mark and Tracy because they're so down to earth and just lovely people. And so we were, we were spotlighting a very fancy menu that we were doing with our products. And Mark asked very respectfully, "Can we use these spices for wings?" And so that led to, a whole menu with a flight of wings. And then Mark and Tracy are going to be coming to the event. And then we approached Jeff, and he was all into it. So it should be a grand time.
I think it will be. You have the right people in the room talking about what you're doing, so that's very exciting. So you can use these spices on wings, and I just had this thought, and it's somebody in this town that does a lot of collaborations, and they're always looking for that. Have you had the opportunity to meet Alistair George yet? Okay. What do you know what's the name of the store over there now that? The beer, yeah, the beer. They have food in there.
Is that La Bella Vida?
No, you know what? I can look it up here. Yeah, so, yep, six pack House of Beer. It's not just beer; they have great food in there, and she's frequently collaborating with local businesses for wing flavors, and they kind of build it into the beer that they have. It's a whole process, but she's really great, and there could be opportunity there.
Oh, that's great. I wrote it in my book. I'm taking notes. Yeah, because different beers have different characteristics,
Right.
and so we make a big point of saying that we have something for everyone. You know,
because some like it hot and
Some-
some don't.
Some don't. That would be me. I love the flavor of all the seasonings and the spices, and I like warmth. I just am not interested in having my nose run.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my limit.
I really like spicy food, but it doesn't like me anymore.
I used to like spicy food, but not so much anymore either. So I don't know.
One of the jokes sometimes we'll go out to eat, go somewhere, and my fiance Christy, she's always looking out for me. I'll be there, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna get this, and she'll look at me like, yep, you want to do that? Are you sure about that? Oh, it'll be fine. And then later that night when I'm up all night, yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Well, we do have hot to not. We have everything from just very mild to very very spicy. There are people who insist. So we have one spice that I refer to as the nuclear option.
Oh boy.
So you were kind enough when you came down for the networking event to let me try this twisted tomato chutney, we had it at the event, and I tried it. So I just want to get a gauge of where you are on that warmth scale. For me, that's good, but it's a little spicy. Where is this at?
Well,
I'll hold it for the camera.
This is pretty. This is pretty hot. We have a
Okay.
we have a Szechuan pepper sauce that is like 5 times hotter, and then we have the pyro powder, which is the nuclear option.
The nuclear.
Pyro, I like that name.
Well, it will set things on fire left to its own self. But this tomato chutney is the flavor that started it all. It's Yasmin's father's recipe for a really...
Yes, I just had to reduce the cayenne content because Margaret said, no, we cannot make it that hot.
Oh.
So Margaret uses a couple of teaspoons, but I'll use like a half a jar in one sitting.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we moderate the heat on that. And even our Szechuan pepper sauce, if you just take a little bit and add some sour cream, or you add some vinegar or oil, it will, well, not oil traps the heat.
Yes.
But so a little vinegar, a little cream, and even that you'll have, like I make shakshuka with that. And if Yasmin makes it, she just dumps the jar in. And if I make it, I put 2 tablespoons into a can of tomatoes, just for the flavoring.
Yeah. I get carried away with spices sometimes, where it's, like I said, it's not good for me. One time I did the same thing. I was making chili for my family, and the process got done, and I was tasting as I went. And, okay, it's good. Well, sometimes when that sits there for a minute, the spices kind of pick up.
It sinks in.
Yeah, but my poor kids were looking at me like, "What did you do?"
Well, that's the pow pow. Is our Szechuan pepper sauce, and it has a good amount of oil, which is wonderful when you're cooking, but when you eat it, it traps the heat, and people are like, "Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's warm."
It comes in a lot.
Oh my God!
Later, even for me, I'm like,
even
It hits you
Yasmin
later,
is-
and you're like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So do you offer like just I'm not like jellies, or you offer just the spices themselves, or then you have like sauces, or
Yes, we have spice blends and sauces. Currently, we're always trying to come up with some new things. We met with the Mushroom Fellows,
Yes,
and
in Erie.
In Erie, so they grow mushrooms, and we're trying to come up with a mushroom blend.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a couple of scientists at Gannon, and they're working with mushrooms, and Brad. Well,
Brad Gleason?
yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Brad, this is what I'm talking about. People work so nicely together. So Brad put us together, and we started talking about ways that we can work with mushrooms together. So it's perfect for us. We love mushrooms.
The Mushroom Fellows and the Spice Sisters seems like a natural fit.
I think
Yeah,
it's called
exactly.
Eco Erie or
Yes.
something like that.
Well, we're coming up on the 30-minute break where we go to the news. So you're going to hang out, talk a little bit more about what we're working on and what's going on, and we'll look forward to that. You are listening to Community Chronicles Radio on 103.3 FM, 105.9 FM, 1530 AM, and as always through the Corey Higher Education Council Facebook page or talkerie.com with the Listen Live button. We'll be back after the news. Welcome back to Community Chronicles Radio, brought to you weekly by the Corey Higher Education Council, promoting lifelong learning to empower individuals, produce a competitive workforce, and enhance the community's quality of life. We'd like to welcome back to the show Margaret and Yasmin, talking about the Spice Sisters with their spices and different sauces. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome back. We have the Spice Sisters, yes, here at the studio. We wanted to continue talking about their business and what it looks like for them in the future. So, Margaret or Yasmin, what have you learned this week by attending the Rural Entrepreneur Week events?
We've learned quite a bit. I learned both of the speakers that we heard talked about you need to first take care of yourself and focus on, establishing healthy ways to keep going and not get burnt out. We definitely learned that. And we learned to collaborate with people and
we had a swell time Monday night at the drinking moonshine and talking business.
You had the moonshine. You had the moonshine.
Yes, I had the moonshine, not Yasmin.
Before the Barrel Distillery, Bernie Bloor, does a great job down in Corey.
He really does. It's a lovely spot. And we were learning about how particularly Betsy was talking, Betsy Grinder from Your Daily Serving was sharing about how, things are similar but unique, to all entrepreneurs. Everybody has their own unique path, but there are certain similarities that we can share and we can learn from each other. And that's always my favorite part of a conference. I love unique insights, but it's always so nice to share with people who are going through the same things or have been through them and lived to tell.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think for anyone starting out as an entrepreneur, if you think you're going to do it on your own, that's tough. You need a whole support group. Yeah.
And I know that Greg Rushin talked about it on Tuesday afternoon, and it's that ignoring that voice in your head. But we are so ingrained in our thought processes about work and what we need to do that becoming an entrepreneur, and especially making that choice that, okay, you know what, I'm not going to go to my 9-to-5 anymore, I'm going to run this business, and how scary that can be. But if you do it, you can overcome that one barrier. There's so much out there for potential entrepreneurs that, it can change your life if you do it right.
It really can. It's like putting your passion into your day-to-day, which is a wonderful opportunity.
It makes it less like work, right?
It's not like work for me. I mean, look, I'm Italian. Putting food in faces. That's a genetic imperative.
And exactly, like you can see, like with Bernie and with Betsy, that's their passion. Like, in their Facebook posts and everything about, like, especially Betsy, she just loves what she does, and she enjoys what she does, and that's what makes it great. And she's able to get out there and inspire other people. Same with Bernie, and his journey and all the different flavors of cocktail. I was just wondering, what kind of moonshine did you have? I was just curious. He has so many different flavors out there. So
I think Yasmin got the, and then I drank it, the strawberry lemonade or something.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, he had that on special, right?
Yeah, and I applaud him because frequently people forget that you eat with all five senses. And so it was a beautiful shade. It had a lovely aroma. It had a nice kick. But, moonshine better have a kick.
Yeah.
But, and then he blended it into a lovely cocktail. And then, he had all these fun little games on the table.
Yes, beer pong. I had never played that before. So I was like, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah, that's how come Yasmin has a master's in science, because she never knew about beer pong.
Yeah. I have a doctorate, but I knew about
beer pong, yes.
My grades in undergraduate look very different than my graduate work, so I knew about beer pong. One of the great things about that kickoff event, and I had a plan in my head. How is this going to go? What are we going to do? I had this idea that I was going to have to try to push people towards the interactions. And when that night started and the moonshine started rolling and everybody was having a great time, I realized very quickly I don't need to do anything. Right. This is just all working. And I think that's Kathy had the idea for Global Entrepreneur Week, starting with a networking event at a place like that, and it does just kind of tend to lean towards those interactions happening a little bit more loosely.
Yeah, I mean, in the few years that we've been in business, I have come to, I approach those events with my notebook in hand and just sort of, I'm not a shy person, but I'm, still I have to kind of say, okay, move to the next, you can do this. and you just walk up to people and say, hi, what do you do? Here's what I do. Maybe we could work together, It's a great time.
Yeah, and we saw really clear examples of the purpose of that event happening as we went. And we hope that, year over year, we get, more people to come and take advantage of that. You made this wonderful chutney that, Betsy was there. She provided the food for the networking event that evening, Betsy from Your Daily Serving. And it was this might be an opportunity right here, right now, to make a connection with somebody working in the space. And I'll talk a little bit about it in a bit, but Betsy's, goal is to use real food, less preservatives, provide healthier options for people. And it was a natural fit. So it was a cool thing to see happen really easily in that event.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And this was the Hyatt's first year running Rural Entrepreneur Week. Was there anything about the event that you'd like to see a bit different?
I would love to be able to, give practical advice, but I think it went really smoothly. It accomplished the goals that I had set. I don't know about Yasmin. I mean, I went in looking to meet new people, learn something, and just enjoy, getting to know people and having an opportunity for them to get to know me because we're new to town. And so I accomplished all that.
Yeah, I think it was informative but casual. It wasn't, sometimes these events can get so uptight.
A little stuffy. Yeah.
But yes, so I like that a lot.
Well, and then Corey is just a lovely, lovely spot. How could you not be, friendly in Corey?
Yeah, we're proud of the things that are taking place in Corey, and there's lots of opportunity for people. We talk about this quite a bit, being the executive director of the Corey Higher Education Council, coming into Erie to do a radio show. I keep encouraging people from the city of Erie all the time, just drive down and see what we have going on. The shops along the street, the different things going on.
Excellent.
And like you said, very nice people that are helpful. And if you can't find what you're looking for on the main street for a gift or something, they will guide you to another shop.
Yeah, they got a lot of nice little shops down through there.
It's a lovely drive. Everything. There's lots of restaurants. It's just a beautiful satellite of Erie. It's just beautiful in its own way.
Exactly. Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about we have an event coming up with Erie Aleworks, and Jeff McCullough is a friend of the show. So hearing you have something cooking up with him is very exciting.
Yeah, we're totally stoked. I mean, usually we, our recipes online are for the busy house person. Who's doing the home cooking. Look, here's 3 or 4 ingredients, most of which you have in your house. Throw them in the pan, and you've got dinner, because that's what you need for the weekdays. But usually our events are, more of the fancier stuff that you can do to, really amp
Well,
up.
Margaret really likes to do these elaborate 12-course menus. Let us get in 12 courses and how much can I do? So we've done a couple
lot
of
of
those
courses.
in Johnstown.
Well, the way to
Yes.
get 12 courses is have lots of appetizers and just give them different names.
Oh, okay.
One is an amuse-bouche and one is, canapé. But this event is going to be serious finger licking down to the earth,
Yes, because Spice Sisters is fun. We're not
Yeah.
stuffy.
No, we're not. We can, we can throw down with the granita, but we can, we're looking forward to this because, again, it will highlight the fact that we're at, different spice levels. We've got one that's almost sweet, all the way without sugar, all the way up to, the pyro, and but. We're really looking forward to it. It should be a fun time. We visited over at Erie Ale, and it's a fun environment. You see the I don't know what those big metal casks are, what they call them. That they brew the beer in.
Right.
And it should be fun. And it'll be a good way to get a taste. And it's always about collaboration. It's always about making those connections and working together and, seeing how our product fits with other people's needs and what can we do to, and beer, it's not just one flavor. Beer has so many, especially a craft brewery.
Right. It's a little different than, the normal American Pilsner or lager that you see. Yeah.
He's got quite a selection. So I think, hopefully people will pair a flight with a flight and,
Exactly.
see which beer goes with which flavor.
Right.
Yeah, and then you just help each other out because somebody's drinking, helping them out buying the beer, and then hey, we're going to get this spiced with it. So exactly, the collaboration that works out well.
It does.
So I had mentioned on the first half of the show that you provided a sample for me to try, and unfortunately for me, one of the things that I've experienced in my life is that I have this weird allergy to corn. So if you look at a lot of products, they use that as a filler for almost everything, even the strangest things. It's like a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese is probably on their corn. So a lot of the time when I get a product like this one, I go right to okay, what's in there? And I talked about this a little bit earlier. It's just real ingredients, and there's no fillers in it, and it's something that I look for. So I was excited about that immediately.
Yes, we are very conscious of not putting in any fillers, and our spice blends have no sugar or salt because everybody has different dietary needs. So, you add in how much sweetness or how much salt you like. And so it's versatile that way. It can go anywhere from being in a sweet dish to a savory dish. Yes.
We have our red velvet powder, and you can make dessert with that, or you can make a beverage with that, or you can
Use
put it on
chicken
your
wings.
chicken. Yeah, it's going on the chicken wings. It's going to be good. And it's very important to us not to have, if you look at our nutrition label, it's very low salt. There's no sugar in anything except the Szechuan pepper sauce, because the Szechuan lady who showed me how to make it insisted there had to be some sugar. So it's like, yes, ma'am.
So people can kind of then customize how they like it. Like you have the packets, but then if somebody wanted to add more salt or wanted to add more sugar, they can absolutely do that then, or?
Yes.
Yeah, and I try to tell people, look, when you're buying our spices, you are not buying half of it is salt, or half of it is sugar. When you get our product, the other thing is being fair trade is certainly ethical, and that's very important to us. But it also provides a superior product. Fair trade spices come to us much, much fresher, and we don't even roast or grind them until we're ready to sell them. So they're not sitting on the counter for, years at times, and ours are, and so you use a lot less to achieve the same results, and so we're always looking for new blends. Like I said, we're starting a line we're calling the Peace Blends, and there's just people in the world who could use maybe a little hand. And we're going to start out with our Ukrainian blend, which will be a, we didn't have an Eastern European. We try to be global. And, so we have something from the Mediterranean, something from the Middle East, and so we're looking to do
something with dill. We've talked about it for a little while. And, I've always had to hold Margaret back and always creating a new flavor because we need to kind of focus for a bit.
Yeah, sell what you've got.
Right. So I always have to say, now Margaret.
Right. But we're looking to, we have a couple of other countries in mind, but we're going to start with Ukraine. And then we will donate 25% of our cost, not our what we get gross. 25% of that will go to help feed people, or we're not exactly sure how we want to help. But
yes, we'll consult Kathy.
Yeah.
Beehive.
They'll definitely
She will guide us.
They will definitely have a way to do that. So as you were talking about building the Ukrainian blend and what that's going to look like, my mind kind of started working a little bit. Erie has a very large refugee population. We have three resettlement agencies in Erie now: Multicultural Community Resource Center, the International Institute, as it's commonly called, as well as Catholic Charities, and they're bringing people to the city of Erie and getting them situated. I worked at MCRC, Multicultural Community Resource Center, for a time. The people that are here, a lot of time they have the difficulty of, American food is gross, and they're not interested. So the thought is, if you're making a Ukrainian blend, to sometime meet with the people working at these agencies to say, okay, we have food that you may appreciate, and it may remind you of the food that you've eaten your entire life, and not, it might have American components to it, but there might be an opportunity to discuss that with some of the people working at those agencies.
Yeah, I particularly like to scope out, people who are from the country, because you want to be authentic.
Right.
And you want to definitely give them the credit. I did not create, Baharat.
Or Togarashi.
Right. I mean, those are spices from northern Africa and Japan, respectively. But, it's interesting. People are always like, oh, you make this tomato chutney. We know a bunch of Indian people who will enjoy it. And the thing is, most Indians make their own chutney. It's like most Italians make their own spaghetti sauce. And, maybe not anymore in the United States. But, what we want to do, and it's always been one of our goals, is to bring the flavors from other parts of the world to the American people, the people in the United States. It's something about food. When you eat somebody else's food, you start to feel like you know them.
Right.
Or like there's some sort of intimacy that's created by tasting their food. And that's a big part of what we're doing here.
A communion of sorts.
That's right.
Yeah, right. So one of the biggest things that I disliked about leaving that job is the opportunity to try those different foods. A lot of the caseworkers that worked in my department, they're from different countries, and they would help the people that are coming here, and very frequently they would walk into my office and say, here you are, sir, try this. And it was fantastic food. One of the Nepali caseworkers came to me, and he had a little bit, again, talking about the spicy flavors. He's like, this was not hot. This is not hot.
That's what I do to
I'd take a bite, and I would be like, Kodka, I think your not hot is different than mine. It sure is. It sure is.
No, but I mean, you see, when people offer you their food, they're offering you more than calories.
Absolutely.
They're offering you a piece of themselves, a piece of their history, a piece of their homes. That's so important. In Jewish tradition, the table is the altar, and the home is the temple, and I believe that extends across religion, certainly across cultures. The home and the table are very, very special places. So that's a big part of us. We want people to be able to get to their table.
Absolutely. So I have this story just quickly about that. The Afghan community there, it's very prominent here as well. After our withdrawal from Afghanistan, we have a lot of Afghan refugees that are here, and we hired a caseworker who knew a little bit of English. His English was broken in a lot of ways, but he was, very useful in translation and making sure everybody had what they needed. We drove over on a home visit to an individual, and we were bringing them furniture, and we were going to set up the furniture, put it in the house. Well, he was speaking Persian, and as they're having the conversation back and forth, I have no idea what's going on. And he turned to me, and he said, we got back in the car to leave, and he said, "I'm sorry to tell you that he was upset that you didn't want to have tea with him."
Oh, yes.
I said, "When did I say we didn't have time for tea?" He said, "I just assumed we had to get back to work because you're American." I was like, "No."
Yes.
I'm like, "Please don't assume for me. Next time, just tell him we'll sit for the tea." So yeah, that idea that you're talking about just kind of popped in there. It was one of my learning experiences through that process. But
different cultures are more aware than us of
yes,
how much bonding and how much growth goes on with hospitality.
Right. We have Americans very commonly say no, thank you. That it's fine, and that's not a big deal. People, okay, no problem.
Right.
But it is a big deal in most other cultures to make sure
they
that
take it as an insult kind of
tea.
thing. Yeah.
Just sit down and just relax and take it a little slow. I think that's
I think Americans have a hard time doing that, sitting down, taking it slow. Like, we're so fast paced with everything. We don't. We've gotten away from that, the cultural
very
attachments.
work oriented.
Yeah.
And it's gotten away from, that's what you said, that, it didn't used to be like that. And that means it doesn't have to stay like that. We can return.
Yes, because Margaret tells me stories about her parents and her grandparents. And it was similar to how I grew up in my family. But for her, it's different. But I came here when I was young, so I still kind of have that instinct in me to just sit down and dip a biscuit in the coffee or the tea or the chai in the morning, take that time and not have it in the car.
Right, like while you're driving somewhere. Yeah.
Like, they always used to be big, like my relatives, on the fine china. Everything was about the china cabinet, and now it's like all paper plates and disposables, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're talking on the phone, drinking coffee, and going to work all at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, the whole culture of a Sunday dinner or a whatever, Saturday or Friday night dinner, to sit together. It's very important.
That's good. And so that kind of comes through in the product here, is it's taking more time. And that's a great story to tell.
Well, we're taking the time so that, others don't have to as much, but you still have a quality meal.
Great. So
exactly.
I'm scrolling on your webpage here, and this question is important to me because my daughter is currently working in the culinary program at Erie County Technical School. She'll be a junior this upcoming year, and she's been learning. I think she's going to be a much better cook than I ever was, but it's always a great story. On the left side of your page, it says "Inspiring Young Cooks." What are you doing to inspire young cooks? Because that I'm always looking for opportunities for her to learn and get better.
Well, that particular picture is underneath, that quote, or, that line is underneath a picture, I believe, of a young man who used to come, I think he was like 10. He used to come to visit us at the farmer's market. And he was so cool. He had so much understanding of food and cooking and hospitality. Then when we needed a helper, we hired him.
Oh, that's a great story.
He did a great job. And I'm looking to do, as a matter of fact, in June, in Johnstown, where we currently are based, a class with young people. Some of them are quite young, like 7 to 10. And then I'll have another class from 10 until I think about 11, 12. And we'll discuss cooking and how to build a recipe. And, I think that's very important because, some people don't realize that you can just taste things in your mouth, put things together. I want to give people the ability. Yasmin certainly has the ability to say, this is what's in the refrigerator. We can do something with that.
Yeah.
Right. I think nowadays everybody focuses a lot on the recipe and the exactness of something. I mean, maybe you need that for baking, but for just being comfortable in the kitchen, when you start young, you are able to assess, it needs a little bit more of this, or that is missing. Let me add some more, lemon juice or something like that. That these classes will help younger people become more comfortable and not be so afraid. Because sometimes at the farmer's market, we would meet college age, or maybe they had just finished college and they weren't so comfortable in the kitchen and they had no idea what to do, but they wanted to have a get together. So we would give them ideas with some of our stuff.
Great. That's what we're trying to do with the reels and stuff on social media. So, but we would love to share with people how to cook.
Right. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. This is a great conversation. We'll look for you soon. Google the Spice Sisters and you can find them there. It was a great show. I appreciate you both.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. It was wonderful to talk with you.
So head down today to the last day of Rural Entrepreneur Week down in Corey at the Relevant Church. Next week, we have on the show Kelly Seblink and hopefully Dee Caruana to talk about what they do. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.